Mesdames et messieurs, je vous demande à présent d'accueillir votre nouvel entraîneur.
It is officially time for a new challenge and also time for us to make an impact. Bienvenue dans la mode carrière du CF Montreal FC Vincent. Lads, I'm so excited about this new career mode, the third and final career mode series we will be doing in FC25. And I can safely say this is one of the most unique saves, arguably the most unique save I have ever done. Not just on a YouTube channel, but honestly in my whole time playing career mode. I am super excited. The city of Montreal. So many things you can say about this beautiful place. One of my favourite cities in the world. I have a few personal connections to the place as well. So the prospect of doing a career mode with them was always going to be on the table. And I'm really glad to be doing it. Of course, Montreal is known for many things. It's a lovely cuisine. Obviously, the fact that it's a dual language city as well. There's two languages, French and English. And it made sense for me, if I was going to be doing a Montreal career mode, why not take one of the most European cities in North America and bring them over to the European League? And that is what we have done here. We have taken the French-Canadian side and put them into the second division of the French League. It's going to be an interesting challenge. It's going to be really interesting to see how this MLS team fares up against second division European sides. And the French League is a league I haven't really explored much. It's a league I've always wanted to do a career mode in, and I've never really touched it. So a lot of very exciting aspects about this career mode, and so many things I'm really excited to see play out here. Now, when we think of Montreal from a sporting side of things, football is probably not the first sport that pops into people's heads when they think of this city. That, of course, would be ice hockey. Montreal, of course, being home to the most successful team in the history of the NHL, the Montreal Canadiens. 24-time Stanley Cup winners. And yes, they are the hockey team that I support in real life. I'm not going to sit here for 1 minute and pretend that I'm the biggest fan of the NHL and ice hockey. I definitely have more of a passing interest in it. But let me tell you something, lads. If you've never watched an NHL game or an ice hockey game in general, give it a chance. You will not be disappointed. One of the most fun sports to watch out there. I will stand by that. And I'll argue that with anybody. It's just a shame that it always has to be on at stupid o'clock here in Europe. But whatever. That's a conversation for another day. But when we look at Montreal as a football club, listen, they ain't no slouches themselves. 5-time Canadian Championship winners, most recently in 2021. And in 2015, back when they were known as Montreal Impact, they were the first ever Canadian club and the second MLS club to advance to the final of the CONCACAF Champions League. Now, they ended up losing that game to Club America. But still, that is no easy feat. Quite a big achievement for Montreal. There has been some very famous footballers who played for Montreal as well. Most notably, probably Didier Drogba. He spent some time out there as well towards the end of his career. Can we find a striker as good as him in this career mode? That remains to be seen. That won't be easy either. But I'm all here for the challenge. Speaking of challenges, there is a bit of a transfer policy I'm after putting in place for this career mode. We'll speak about that a little bit more towards the end of this episode. But let's just say it's going to be very interesting to see what the team looks like by the end of the series. As I say, we'll talk a bit more about that towards the end of the episode. For now, though, let's have a look at the team we will be starting with. Here is the initial squad we will be working with right at the beginning of this career mode, lads. Oh, it's going to be a shock to the system, I can already tell, for a couple of reasons. The first one being the ratings of the players. We just ended a series where we had multiple 90 rated players in the starting 11, and we had 85 plus rated backups in some cases. Probably most notably at right back. We had an 87 rated backup right back to end off that series. This time round, though, we're going to be starting with a 63 rated winger and also a 64 rated centre mid. So a different type of rating we're going to be using here at the start of the series, but that also adds to the uniqueness of doing any type of Road to Glory career mode. You use players who aren't that high rated, and let's see how much we can develop them as well. Very excited for that aspect of it. Another intriguing thing is the formation. I've never really been one to use 3 at the back formations. When I saw that this was Montreal's default starting formation, I was in two minds. Do we try it out and see how we get on, or do I switch to one of my more favourite formations, which is normally a variant of 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1? But I thought, no, let's actually try this. Let's try 3 at the back. It's something I'm not really used to doing, and there's a lot of unique elements to this career mode, so let's make the formation one of them as well, because it's not something I'm used to doing, as I say. Let's introduce ourselves to some of these players, though. We have this chap here, in between the sticks. He hails from Laval in Quebec. His name is Sami Zayn, a 21-year-old 69 rated goalkeeper, but from what I've been told by my scouts, this guy has a haluva kick. I mean, apparently his kicks are just out of this world. He's been described to me as the underdog from the underground, and I'm really, really intrigued to see how we get on with him here in this first season. He's from Quebec, he's playing for his local team, he's going to have that passion instilled in him from the beginning. I'm very excited to see how he gets on. We have a couple of decent backup goalkeepers here as well, but the only thing about them is they're just not very oozy, to be quite honest with you. Then we move on to this fellow Quebec native. His name is Kevin Owens. Now, from what I've been told, Kevin and Sammy have a lot of history. They've been the best of friends, but apparently the best of enemies as well. So hopefully they'll leave that conflict away from the pitch. They'll keep that away from the dressing room as well. And there'll be no drama between these two. I really, really hope that nothing kicks off. But Kevin Owens, also a native of Quebec. He's from Maryville in Quebec, a very, very lovely part of the world. Quite a strong, aggressive character from what I've seen so far. I mean, this man literally walks around with the initials KO. You don't want to be messing with someone like that. 24 years old, 73 rated, decent rating for a player in this league at that age. So yeah, let's see how this guy gets on, and let's just hope that he doesn't fall out with anybody in the dressing room. I'm really, really hoping that won't be an issue. We've got this guy here then out on the right hand side, Maurice Richard. This guy is a rocket. What else can I say? I'm expecting no less than 50 goals a season, and maybe he might go on and score, I don't know, let's give a ballpark, maybe around 544 goals. I think that would be a fair expectation of this man. And then we have our captain here, a man by the name of George St. Pierre, sometimes goes by his initials of GSP. This guy sometimes feels like he's in a bit of a rush, so hopefully that won't become an issue either. But what I have to say about this guy, talk about clean cut, talk about well spoken, talk about well mannered. There's so many great things I could say about this guy, and he was the perfect choice to be the captain. Something else to say about this man is how honest he is. We were having a bit of a discussion there just before we went out onto the training pitch. And George, my captain, pulled me aside and said, I have to be honest, I'm not very impressed with your performance. Wow, I couldn't believe the honesty, but I respected it, and I've become a better man because of it. And yeah, as I say, this guy was the perfect choice to be captain. Very, very excited to see how he can carry that mentality over onto the pitch. And when it came to picking a manager for this team, for me it had to be somebody who knows a thing or two about coaching successful Montreal teams. And that is this legend right here, Toe Blake. Not only a 3-time Stanley Cup champion as a player with both the Montreal Maroons and the Montreal Canadiens, but an 8-time Stanley Cup winner as a coach, also with the Canadiens. He's had success as an ice hockey manager. Now it's time to have success as a football manager and bring home some more success to the great city of Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Now, when it comes to improving this team, you can see here, there's one or two areas that we probably do need to focus on. Maybe we do look at this left-hand side here. A midfielder, I think, is definitely a must. Striker-wise, I think we might be okay, but I wouldn't mind going in for somebody slightly higher rated. But with the talk of transfers and bringing players into the team, we have a stipulation when it comes to a transfer policy that is going to be in place for the entirety of this career mode. We are only able to sign players who are from a country or a region where French is one of the official languages. This is definitely the most unique transfer policy I have ever had in any career mode I have ever done. And I'm really, really intrigued to see the type of players that we sign with that policy in mind. That policy is not going to be there for one season. It's not going to be there for 2 seasons. It's going to be there every single season of this career mode. If there's a player out there that is from a country where French is not one of the official languages, they can never be signed in this series. No exceptions to the rule. Now, there's something I need to clarify there as well. Obviously, there are regions, just like Quebec itself, that speak French and also speak another language. So you might have certain people within that region who don't have French as their mother tongue. I think Belgium might be a good example with that. Belgium has multiple languages that are considered the official language of that country. So if we sign a player from Belgium and French isn't his first language, that's okay. As long as he's from a country where French is one of the official languages, they are eligible to be signed. I hope that makes sense. I hope I haven't over-explained that. Oh boy, this promises to be very, very interesting. Policy extends over to our youth academy as well. As you can see here, we have set up some youth scouts already, looking in France, Canada, and also the Ivory Coast. Who knows, we might find the next Didier Drogba. Now, I do have a couple of players shortlisted here. We've got a centre midfielder here, Danois, I want to say. There's going to be plenty of corrections of my pronunciation in this series, I can guarantee you that. I have been doing French on Duolingo for nearly 2 years now, but let's just say I'm not as fluent as I probably should be. But anyways, we got a couple of strikers here as well. So these were obviously 2 of the areas that I'd mentioned that we probably need to look at, but also a left-sided player is somebody else we will need to look at. But that is also where I want your input, lads. Normally, when I do a preview episode of a career mode, I do the first official episode basically the next day. I'm leaving a little bit of a gap between the preview episode and the first official episode of this career mode. The first official episode of this career mode will not be coming this Monday, but the Monday after. There's a few reasons for that. I'll explain a bit more on the first episode, but that is when the first official episode of the Montreal career mode will begin. I want your help and input with players we should be scouting to help improve this team. But let me just reiterate this so that I just make it abruptly clear. We can only sign players where French is one of the official languages in their country or region. I know I've said that a good few times, but if I keep saying it, then there's no excuse for anybody to suggest a player who is not from a country where French is one of the official languages. Lads, I'm super excited. I honestly cannot remember the last time I was this excited to do a career mode and to do such a unique career mode as well. When I first thought of this idea, honestly, it just seemed so far away when planning the 3 career modes I was doing in FC25. I can't believe we're already here. But I'm super motivated. I really want to make this Montreal team a successful team. Can they become the first non-European team to win the Champions League? That is the ultimate goal of this series. Of course we want to win the French League, of course we want to win the domestic cups as well, but the main number one goal, away from the transfer policy that I just mentioned, is to win the Champions League with one of the most European cities to not be in Europe. Get suggesting in the comments the players you think I should be looking for. They don't just have to be the positions I mentioned. If there's any other position as well where you know of a player that you think I should be looking at, please feel free to let me know. The first official episode will be Monday week, lads. I'm super excited for it. If you're excited for this series as well, please hit that like button on this preview episode. Consider subscribing to the channel, and I will talk to you all on Monday week for the first official episode of this Montreal career mode. Take care.